We need wood, wood carving tool, and the figure of sacrifice, a Salas Prostars figure and his Lazio kit. Greetings and salutations everyone, let's get into the video. I do apologize for the lack of videos. I've been pretty sick, and I've also tried to use and learn how to use animations in this video, and you will see a lot of animations in this video, like this and this and this. And with that figure prepping is done, let's get ready for remodeling. This is what I use for remodeling. I'm using a milliput. It's a 2-part epoxy clay. You have a 1 hour working time and it usually cures within 2 to 3 hours. What I'm doing here is I'm using a bit of clay and spreading it on top of the head. So what I'm trying to do is extend the forehead. I'm using a lot of pressure and a lot of water to smoothen out the clay so that it creates a smooth transition. So I recently learned some animation tricks, and you will see a lot of animation like this and this. A bit much, yeah? Okay, so basically what I did was I used the same method to cover up the chin. A tip for you is that I like to use thin layers of clay for beard remodeling. And also notice that I'm pulling or scoring the clay in different directions so that it looks more realistic. Alright, next it's time to remodel the hair. What I'm doing is I'm adding chunks of clay a bit at a time, and then using the best sculpting tool, my fingernails. Yep, my fingernails to sculpt in the hair. I will then transit to the second best sculpting tool, which is the needle-like tool, to create more hair texture details. Just like the beard, I'm using different pressures when I'm sculpting the hair. To create the hair texture on the top of the head, I'm using snakes of clay. I'll add them bit by bit to create a wavy texture. After doing that, I'll use my needle-like tool to sculpt in the details. I'll finish the remodeling process by using a snake of clay to act as his hairband. This is the last step during remodeling. I'm just going to use a small snake of clay for the base. I'm going to use water to smoothen it out to cover the name on the base. I usually let the clay dry overnight or cure overnight so that it's rock solid the next day. And now it's time for painting. So let's create our DIY wet palette. I'm using a tray, Scotch-Brite sponge, water, and a parchment paper. I would recommend using a DIY wet palette because your paint can stay moist for a longer period of time. Sometimes when I'm done painting for the night, I will cover it up so that none of the moisture leaks out and I can still use the paint the next day. I would highly recommend it if you're interested in using a wet palette. I usually use 2 to 3 coats of primer when priming the figure. I'll then move on to painting the eye details. So what I like to do is I like to paint the whites of the eye, followed by a pink layer for the flesh area underneath the eye. After that's done, I'll paint the eyeliner in black. I've been painting for 7 years and I'm telling you, I still find difficulty painting the eyes. I usually start small and enlarge the pupil bit by bit until I'm satisfied. So this is probably one of the hardest things to do when painting faces, so please take your time. If you need to repaint it again, prime it again, and repaint it again. Keep trying, guys. So at this point, I was really doubting this figure, so what I did was I painted the eyebrows to see if it looks like Ruben Nevez. Alright, next is painting the eye detail. So I noticed that Ruben Nevez has a bit of greenish parts in his pupils, so I'll paint a green dot in his pupil, followed by 2 shades of brown. I'll then finish off the eye by placing another black dot in the middle. So I decided to be fancy and paint the reflective details on the eyes. I do that by painting 2 dots on the eyes. I'm using the base skin tone, which is this color, and painting the face, the arms and the knees. What I like to do is take this time to reduce the lines, the black lines caused by the eyeliner or the pink parts caused by the flesh area underneath the eyes. I hope this is a good tip for you for those that are struggling to paint eyes. This is really a game-changing hack. And next, let's move on to kit details. Here's a poor man's tip on getting dirty gold. You use yellow and a bit of brown and you mix it up, and then you get this off gold color. And I think it really works well for this jersey. So I'm using this black color to paint in the details of the kit. I painted the pants and as well as the details of the socks in black. For the jersey details, I tried to draw a line for its neckline detail. It wasn't smooth, so I had to use grey primer to cover it up and also reduce the lines, and then use the off gold color or the poor man's gold color to color it in. All in all, I think the jersey looks pretty clean. So if you're using clear water slide sheets, which I recommend, please paint the area of the jersey white before applying your decals. If you don't do that, the logo will not show or the white parts will not show. And now it's time for decal applications. This is what we'll need for decal application. So I use Mr. Mark Softer. It's a liquid that you apply onto a figure or a surface that makes it adhesive for decal. So basically what it does is it makes the surface glossy so that decals can stick onto the surface easier. I will then dip my decals into water for 15 to 20 or maybe 30 seconds. I'll peel off the backing, then apply it into the figure. For movement or adjusting the decals, I usually just use water and a brush to push my decals into the correct place. Once it's in the correct place, I will then use a paper towel or tissue paper or a face towel to remove the moisture so that the decal can stick in its position when it dries. So I forgot to press record when I was doing the decals for his arm tattoo. For his arm tattoo, I printed some logos and hand painted some of the details. This is the green that I use for painting most of my bases. I really love the color. So next, I'm gonna dry brush brown onto his hair. I will then follow it up by painting the facial details. So here's a tip: avoid having lipstick onto your figures. Use a combination of the skin tone and pink. When you apply it, it looks like a smoother blend. Trust me, it really works. I will then use the same combination of the skin tone and pink to paint the areas under the eyes and as well as the nose. So next, I'm using brown to paint this illusion of the eye. Some people might call it cheating, and they are right. I will finish it off by painting the eyebrows. I will then use the same dark brown color to create the hair details for the beard. And all that is left is the final reveal. And with that, that is the end of the video. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe to my channel for more figures in the future. Wait, what's that? Is that a cliffhanger for the next video? Bye.